K&A Custom Crafts on Facebook.
Hi everyone, it's here we are. It's Super Bowl Sunday. We've been looking forward to this all week. We're here for our Super Bowl special. We have Bodine is now aka the Hammer for this special, and Adrian Ferris is here. How lucky can a girl get? I get to spend an extra 2 hours with three of my favorite gentlemen. Crispy Bacon is behind the scenes, and of course Adrian and Bodine are on camera with me. Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Happy Super Sunday.
We
Ready
made
to
it.
go.
I need some assistance here, right? I need a production assistant. This is crazy.
Well, I needed we're on in the daytime. I needed a hair and makeup crew today. So think about poor me.
Look how my face is shining. I mean, come on, this is ridiculous. Where's the makeup artist? We need a bigger budget. This is crazy.
All right, you're gonna have to get some yeah, I'll send you some links or some makeup for your next big show.
Yeah, your face is glowing.
Seriously, it's crazy.
Well, I think it's from the excitement. It's from the excitement. So we have a big show on tap. First of all, do we want to give our picks early on? We never did that. Or what are your thoughts? I'm going to hand it over to you, Adrian. What are you thinking?
We should do that last.
Last.
Picks should be last. Yep. You agree, Bo?
And then our guests can give their picks if they want before they wrap up their interview. So,
yep.
But for us, we want to do it last.
Okay. All right, we'll do it last. I already know the winner. So I'm going to throw it out there. And I decided this is how I'm going to start all next season too. The winner is going to be the team that scores the most points. So I'm going to be undefeated.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
All right.
What's the saying, Joe? You have a keen grasp of the obvious.
So
Love it.
That gets you far in life. That certainly gets you far in life. So what do we want to do? Do we want to handicap the games? We're bringing in. We have our first guest coming on tap at 3:15. Our two guests, Sarah and Rich Lage. But what are our opening thoughts? I'm falling in love with some of these players, and I've gotten some background story on some of them. Well, let's see. Let's welcome Justin to the show early on. Bengals, Joe Burrow dressing up for their Super Bowl means they will lose. Well, we're not going to dispute you yet, but so let's start with this. Let's toast to our Super Bowl show. I saw Bodine with his beverage. I saw Adrian with his beverage. So here we go. Our first big special. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Crispy Bacon, you have your
drink.
Cheers. You have your drink? All right, here we go. The four of us. Cheers to the entire team. We're looking forward to it. It's an exciting endeavor.
What's everyone drinking?
I am drinking. I'm drinking my Touchdown Teeny, and I'm going to give the recipe for that later in my segment with Jason Barber. Brandon's joining in. Hello from US Bank Stadium. He's at the Monster Jam Monster Truck tuning in from there, so we appreciate that. We have somebody on Coast to Coast. You're on location. You're on location, Brandon.
Yeah.
So
good stuff.
So that's amazing. All right, so what are our thoughts? Do we want to talk about what we think the game is going to be before we start out? I think it's going to be an exciting game. Some Super Bowls, I haven't really been as captivating. Some have been what some people would claim to be downright boring. I'm not sure. What do you think? I think it's going to be an exciting day.
I would agree. I'm expecting an exciting game. I'm looking forward to the Super Bowl commercials. I already had the opportunity to see one that was absolutely awesome. The one with Peyton Manning, Koepka. I'm not sure who the other two athletes are. They're female athletes. One is from soccer. The other one's probably from the WNBA. The Miami Heat. What's his name? He used to play for the Sixers. um, and obviously Peyton Manning. But I don't want to give the entire commercial away. Most people probably already saw it. So the best part of the commercial, they're at a bowling alley. They're all competing. Did you see it?
I saw
I
it.
saw a little
I
bit.
didn't.
Yeah.
Ferris, you saw it?
I did not see it. No.
Do you want me to give it away or want me to hold back?
No, you can tell it. It's fine.
Oh,
Go ahead.
The best part is they're all competing, and Peyton is a little I wouldn't say cocky, but he's definitely confident he's going to win. And all of a sudden, Serena Williams walks in, and the bartender say, "If I correct me if I'm wrong, Joe." But the bartender says, "Game is on now." Right?
The game is on.
So,
but do you realize who the bartender is? The bartender is just not anybody.
No, he's a great actor.
Yeah, it's
Who
Steve
was it?
Buscemi. Steve Buscemi.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Love it.
not only the bartender, he's handing out the shoes. You know, it's a bowling alley. He's spraying down the shoes. He's handing out the shoes.
He's handing out beer, and it's a Michelob Ultra commercial.
Yeah, so it's fun.
So he's handing out the shoes and the beer. Oh, it's a great commercial.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's so typical of a bowling alley. It cracks me up. Courtney Groves is joining us. Hi, Courtney. She's looking forward to halftime. We are as well. Have you seen the memes out there about the halftime show? So many people are saying, "Oh, it looks like there's going to be a little bit of football with the concert." So, you know, and then they're saying that everybody's going to see what their parents really are about. All these kids when Dr. Dre and Eminem come on and they start doing their moves. I busted out some of my moves this morning to practice and dust up on because I certainly want to embarrass my children today.
Oh my God! No. Here's the question: were the three boys? Did they see this? Did they run? Did they say, "Oh, mom"? Did they like scatter all at the same time?
Not yet, but they will later. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
So how about this? Crispy bacon, Ferris. How about this? I go to bed at 2:00, around 2:00 in the morning, my normal time, right? I look out the window, it's raining. Okay, fine. I go to bed, I'm up at 7. I do a couple of things, you know, your morning routine. I look out the window, it's 2 inches of snow on the ground.
Wow.
I'm like, what in the world is going on here?
You are in Philly. You're in the Northeast.
I mean, literally, go to bed, it's raining, wake up, and it's 2 inches of snow on the ground. I'm like, okay, it's going to be one of those days.
Well,
nice lazy day.
Yeah, you misspoke for a minute. You said 2 feet. So think about it.
I had to take that back. 2 inches. 2 inches. I had to take that. I had to catch myself on that one. If it was 2 feet, I probably wouldn't be on this show right now.
I have a feeling you would have made it. You've been looking forward to this. You've been looking forward to this all week. So I certainly think you would have made it.
All right, let's jump to it.
Did
the other guests, by the way, get their emails and links and all that stuff?
We did. So we're going to bring on, let's bring on Rich and Sarah Lage first. Bodine calls Sarah Queen of the Big Country. I'm not sure if we're going to introduce them as that, but Sarah is the Senior Director for Student Athlete Career Development within the Lombardi Student Athlete Development Center at Virginia Tech. I'm looking forward to meeting some new friends. More importantly, Adrian, I'm hoping we get some dirt on Bodine this afternoon. Let's see what we can find out. So welcome, Sarah and Rich. It's our pleasure to have you here today.
Oh, see that? And I
happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you. You too.
First of all, I didn't know she was going to say she was looking for some dirt. She was holding that back, okay, during our rehearsal. She did not tell me that. So, listen, Big Country is my brother. We have been teammates and brothers for life for 30 plus years, 36 years. He knows everything. He knows where the bodies are buried. So if you want someone to tell you something, I don't know if he's going to, but he knows where the bodies are buried. So,
all right. Well, if you don't want to say it in average, just message me later.
Not a problem.
And I gave Sarah the nickname of Queen of the Big Country because it just so fits, right? She is his queen. He is her king. But his
Yes.
nickname is Big Country. So Queen of the Big Country fits just perfectly because she is the queen.
Well, I love it because I don't know if Sarah, I'm sure doesn't know, but my nickname is the Queen of Coast to Coast. So already, I'd love to be joined by other royalty, and so we're looking forward to that. So before we get into our commentary, I do want to welcome Mr. Sanders to the show. Hi. He's saying hi, everyone. Hi, Mr. Sanders. It's great to see you during the daytime. He's usually joining in at the dead of night. Our show's usually on late, so welcome, Mr. Sanders. All right, so what are we talking about, Sarah? Give us a scoop on what it's like. I believe Rich is a coach, or I'm not sure. Are you still a coach, Rich?
No, yeah, I used to be. Now I'm just a middle school teacher. I support her.
All right. Well, just middle school teacher. Certainly, you should take out just before that. There's no more important job. I have a son in middle school, and 2 just got out of there. So thank you for your dedication and service, especially at this. The last few years have been tough for every teacher. So teachers have been my heroes for many years. My son actually has Asperger's, and especially the special education system. So I certainly want to take just out of the beginning of that adjective does not belong there at all. So thanks so much for being here. Sarah, what's it like to have a husband who's not only a coach, but a teacher as well? That's a tough one. Middle school stuff on kids and adults for sure.
Yeah, so yeah, I guess we're thankful that we have OPKs, other people's kids. And at the end of the day, we can come home and just kind of be ourselves and just chill and relax. But yeah, Richard and I first got together when he was coaching at Chowan, and followed him across the country a couple of times. And when he was, coaching and recruiting, I would see him maybe going to bed and waking up. That was it. Luckily, if I, was able to snag a lunch or date night. So that was for at least 10 years, him coaching and recruiting. When we were in Texas, we lived in Wichita Falls, and his recruiting area was in Houston, which is an 8-hour drive. So that meant getting up really early on a Sunday, driving down. He would come back sometime late Friday, then go into the recruiting weekend. So I was used to kind of doing my own thing when he was coaching, and I'm an independent person already, so I just kind of did my own thing with my friends and girlfriends. But when he got out of coaching, it was definitely we had to relearn how to be with one another.
How to hang out more than 30 minutes. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if all the viewers know this, but actually, my husband leaves on Monday mornings. He works in New York City, which is several hours from our home. And he doesn't come back until Friday night. So I know exactly what you're talking about and how difficult that is. And so many people comment and say to me, "Oh, absence makes the heart grow fonder," but that's not necessarily the case. There's a lot of life being lived in between Monday through Friday that we're not privy to one another, and that's a tough relationship, certainly. And I applaud anybody who made it through. I just want to also just shout out Alicia. Alicia saying, "This teacher thanks you," and we appreciate that. So yeah, what are your thoughts, gentlemen, on the male side of it? What would be your perspective of that type of relationship?
Well, for me, I probably have the most drastic scenario or example of that. So I'm a Gulf War veteran. So my youngest son, David, was born 5 months before I deployed. And what did that do? That meant my wife was by herself for the 7 months that I was gone, and she had to, bring David up and take care of him and work and do all the things that kind of go with that. Thank God she was home. She was back in Jersey, and she had some assistance from family, but it's a tough deal. And then it's even tougher when I come home and she's been doing her thing and taking care of business, and I come home and I feel like, okay, I'm kind of the man of the family, and so I try to jam myself back in there, and it doesn't work that way. So I can totally understand the, figuring out how to be one again and interact with each other. And it's not an easy thing to do. It's a process. So kudos to you.
Agreed.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Just in case you guys didn't know, Alicia is my youngest sister. I can't call her my baby sister anymore because she's 42, which is my jersey number, and she's going to kill me for telling people that. But
Probably.
I'll deal with it. But she is also a teacher, so that's why she made the comment. And I'm pretty sure there's a house full of folks at her place, because that's where my dad is, watching the program. So shout out to the Sanders and Williams crew. But Queen, tell me what you think the wives of the coaches who are in this Super Bowl, what are they thinking? What are the thoughts that they've had during the week? You can kind of maybe come up with some thoughts of, maybe they're extremely nervous, or that, how are they handling, if you would guess?
Yeah, I think they're probably trying to keep the routine as normal as possible. And honestly, just thankful that the season is almost over and they can have their husbands back.
There you go.
But yeah,
Yep.
Just as normal as you can. And just from experience, making sure that you have plenty of beverages in the fridge, nice and cold, in case the game does not go as planned.
Yeah.
Well, it's not only the coaches, it's the players as well. I mean, we talk about that, and it's that's one of the reasons that Tom Brady's saying that he retired, right? Because they really have no life. They have no life with their families, because even during the off season, I'm sure it's with anything, you're not off. You're really prepping for what's to come.
No, it's a 12-month job.
Yeah.
Anything with athletics is a 12-month job. You're only a phone call away from some chaotic disaster or some problem you've got to deal with. Or, 18 to 24-year-olds run your life while you're in that job. So anything can happen, as you well know, from 18 to 24.
That's for sure.
No
When the
doubt.
phone
No
rings,
doubt.
you just hope it's something you missed. And if it's between 11 and 5 in the morning, you better go figure out what's wrong and get it done before the news cycle.
Well,
Try-
let me before we wrap up this interview, let me give folks, because my youngest sister Alicia has heard me talk about Big Country for all her adult life, but never had a chance to meet him or see him. So she just texted me that she was happy to see him, because she's been so busy this week as a teacher, she had no idea they were going to be on the program. But
yeah, I did lesson plans up until the time we had to pop on. So yeah.
Gotcha. But Big Country is a very important part of my academic life and career and experience, because for those who don't know and haven't had an opportunity to, time for me to plug my book, Race Against Race, My Journey of Diversity and Inclusion Through Sports. Grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, played for Gene Ribault High School, got an opportunity to go to college, Cheney University, the oldest HBCU in the country. Was there at Cheney one semester, got an opportunity to visit Villanova. Cheney was a Division II football program. Villanova was a Division I program. They dropped the program after Howie Long got drafted to the Raiders. So they started their program up in the fall of '84. So I transferred into Villanova. As all college student athletes have their ups and downs, I was not on scholarship. So it got to a point my junior year, which was Big Country and I's junior year, I had enough funds to pay for tuition, but not room and board. And, you know, people hear athletes talk about a brotherhood and a sisterhood, but they really don't know how the sausage is made or how those relationships begin and how they develop. So, right after preseason, school starts, I don't have enough money to pay for a dorm. I'm bunking or couch crashing with 2 teammates for a couple of days, another 2 teammates a couple of days, and these are African American teammates. And I'm staying in one room. What floor was it on, Big Country?
4th.
4th floor, Jeff Dingle and X-Man.
Yeah,
So,
right down the hall from us.
Yep. So Jeff Dingle from Hempstead, Long Island, X-Man, Xavier Hargrove from Atlanta/Florida. I'm bunking in their room. I walk out of the room, knock on their door because they were next door. That would be Big Country and Perry Hodge. And I stick my head in the door just to say hi. And all of a sudden, Big Country says, "Oh, I heard you crashing next door." And I begin, yeah, man, I'm just trying to, figure out what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna get an opportunity to get my own room on campus. I need a couple of days to figure it out. And before I could finish that conversation, Big Country says, "Hey, you can stay here, stay with us the whole year." And I didn't expect it. And then Perry Hodge, who was a freshman, backup quarterback, starting punter, was absolutely in 100% agreement. So that's how building a relationship, and what's great about team sports, that brotherhood, sisterhood, folks stepping up, helping each other, protecting each other. And so we were obviously great teammates prior to that, but we were able to build a 36-year great relationship. And listen, he's like my brother. He can piss me off. I can piss him off. And believe me, we probably do. But it's okay because we've got a relationship that will last a long time.
Yeah. We had buyer's remorse, but, we got through that too.
Well, we feel your pain, Rich.
Hey, you're all dealing with him. I only got to talk to him every now and then.
That's good stuff. So, Joe, do we have time for a question?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So being that today is obviously Super Sunday, it's all about the football. And as fans and as viewers, we get to see the finished product on the field between 6:30 and 9:30 on a Sunday night. Big Country, I have a question for you because you are a coach. And have been a coach at a high level. Tell our viewers about the lead up, the preparation, the game planning, and how do you prepare your team, your players for the opponent on a day like this?
Yeah, it's the good thing is I've got 2 weeks. In college, if you go to a bowl game, you've got a month. So you basically keep it the same. It's a normal. You don't want to be out of your normal process. You've probably already played the team or have enough film on a team that you know exactly what they're doing or going to do, and they're going to know exactly what you're going to do as well. I mean, this late in the season, either at the professionals or in the bowl season, because you get 12 films on people, you can figure out what they're doing after the first 3 or 4, and you keep your kids or your professionals along the same lines with the routine. They come in, they work out, they're filming, they're watching the film, you might go out and do some practice time stuff. So there's really nothing out of the ordinary other than getting from Cincinnati to LA, and LA's got the advantage because LA's just already there. The only really big thing is getting those kids on an airplane and to a bowl site, or getting your professionals on an airplane without a lot of drama. to the site, and then it goes back to normal. So I mean, if you don't know what you're doing by this time of the year, you're not going to even be in the game. So it's not that big of a deal. It's how you're going to react to certain things. It's going to be more of game time adjustments, halftime adjustments, quarter adjustments or something new that pops out. So, you're prepared before the game, and then you got to trust your kids or your professionals to go out and do what you exactly want them to do to the highest level they can do it. But then also on the back end, be prepared if, like do a Belichick, come out and do an onside kick, or all of a sudden somebody's going for two when they're not supposed to. Everything's analytical now. And they've got people sitting there saying, we ought to do this, we ought to do that. So I think it's overanalyzation. I think it takes away from the play itself. You can overcoach kids or professionals to the point where they become robotic. And in this game,
Yes.
you'd want them to be exactly who you recruited them or traded for or took them in a draft. Be exactly the player you want them to be at this time for the next 60 minutes. And hopefully you come out on top.
Great answer. Thank you.
You're muted, Bodine. Bodine, you're muted.
Good, because I was screaming. I was like, that's my brother. He knows what he's talking about.
I've been trying to find that mute button for 36 years, Joe. Find it, let me know. I always told him I had to reach down his throat through his tonsils to find it, but I don't know. That seems like too much of a process for me nowadays.
Listen, can you imagine 3 players from Florida, Charlottesville, and Hilton Head? All of them, and I was the smallest of the 3. I was 6'2". Perry was 6'3". Big Country was 6'4", in that tiny room, right? But can you imagine 3 different personalities? It's absolutely hilarious. I'm telling you, we had a great time. And his personality that you see, it is genuine, it's real. That's the way he communicates. And I'm telling you, we had a lot of fun.
That's why I married him.
We need a whole nother show on that. We need another special, the Bodine College episode. That'll be on tap. So Rich, start preparing some
There's
material.
some security clearances we need to get from the government on that. Yeah, we got too many former players playing in the FBI and or in the CIA now and working for the government. Yeah.
We'll change names. We'll just change the names.
I think they already have. But no, he's a good guy. It wasn't hard to help him out or help anybody out, and anybody who's walking around with a bag or two and their bedroll under their arm looking for a place to live is going out there every day like everybody else and practicing and knocking heads and blood, sweat, and tears. It's not hard to want to be able to help that person out. This just happened to be him.
Absolutely.
It's good stuff.
Yep.
Great. Great.
All right. Well, listen, we love you. We appreciate you coming on and being our first guest of our first annual Super Bowl special show. And we look forward to many opportunities for you guys to come on at any time. We'll keep you updated. Enjoy your day. Guys, anything else you want to say to them?
Just thanks so much. And
thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. And don't forget, we want the dirt later, Rich. So get and compile that together. And we appreciate it. We always love meeting new friends of the show, and Adrian, and I appreciate it. And I hope we have I hope our relationship lasts 36 years as well.
Not a problem. If you can tolerate him, hey, that's not hard.
I meant with you and Sarah.
Oh. We'll take Bacon and Adrian and
He's out. He's out.
You guys are family. Come down to Virginia. We'll put you up, so don't worry about it.
All right, great. It may be the Joe and Rich show. That's pretty soon. So
Hey,
All right, bye, guys. Enjoy the game and take care.
all right. Take care. Thank you for your time.
Bye, y'all.
Bees up. Bees up.
I watch out, PT here.
Yeah, I see that.
All right, so that was great. So before we move on, we have our next guest, Dave, coming on in just a minute. But I want to say hello to Jerome. He's saying hello, cousin Bodine and panel members. God bless you as well. Tim Fielder's here, and Tim, we're not at the food segment yet, but he's giving us he's making us hungry and giving us something to think about. 1.42 billion chicken wings will be consumed today. Bless those chickens for their sacrifice today. So that is true. Chicken wings are a big business, and we'll have to talk about that a little later. But I'm going to bring Dave on, and let's bring him on before we introduce him. I'll add him in. Hi, Dave. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Good afternoon. Can you hear me good?
We can hear you great.
Right.
So how do you pronounce your last name, Dave? I don't want to mispronounce it.
Baru.
Baru. Okay, so Dave Baru, and Adrian, this will be kin to your heart. He's a former U.S. military intelligence officer. About 10 years ago, he lost 60 pounds and turned around his health. And during the COVID crisis, he decided to retire from banking and start making a difference by helping people regain their health. I love that story. It resonates with me. So welcome to this show, and thank you for your service, both you and Adrian. It's certainly something we really, it's heroic, and we certainly appreciate that. And Tim Fielder, he's active in the military right now, one of our very own. And I forgot to say hi to San. Hi, San. And there's Tim. He's saying, Adrian, is that a slushie? No.
It is a Bahama Mama.
So hi, Dave. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So first of all, on this football Sunday, as a freshman in high school, I went out for a football team, and we played touch football in pads. And the next day, I went out for soccer. So that's my experience with organized football. But yeah, I went to Gettysburg College on a ROTC scholarship. Played tennis there, Division III, so it's not a big deal. I've always struggled with my weight, even as a youngster involved in sports and everything like that. I was always maybe 20, 25 pounds overweight, was never able to lose it. And then going through college, put on another probably 25 pounds. Finally, after I got out of the Army, I lost all that weight, got in really good shape. And then through my 30s, 40s, and at 50, I had put all the weight back on and more. So I'm 5'6", and I weighed over 205 pounds. And I had actually, during the financial crisis, just got fired from my banking job. And what I decided is that I had enough money to live for a while, and I had an ex-boss who said he was going to hire me, but it would be like in the fall, and it was around February. So I said, I'll look for a job, but I know I have that kind of in my back pocket, so I'm not going to stress it. The worst thing that could happen is that not only would I deplete all my reserves, but the stress would mess with my health. So I spent that summer jobless, but trying to work on my health. So I walked a lot. I watched what I ate, rode my bike a lot, and lost the 60 pounds. But more importantly, I listened to a lot of health and nutrition podcasts while walking my dog, was a little Jack Russell. And I discovered the paleo diet. And what is really great about the paleo diet is it's you eat non-processed food. So it's sometimes stereotyped as all meat, but I ate actually a lot of vegetables on it, more vegetables than I was eating, because I was eating a lot of grains, like healthy whole grain oatmeal, supposedly. and orange juice and stuff like that. So I kind of cleaned up my diet, and my health really improved. Even after I lost the weight, my blood markers like my triglycerides and good cholesterol were still out of whack. But my diet really helped that get in control. So actually, I ran the numbers, and at age 50, I had a 36% chance of getting a heart attack in the next 10 years. And of course, my father died of a heart attack at 64. And then at age 60, so 10 years later, I had under a 5% chance of dying of a heart attack in the next 10 years. So obviously, 10 years later, age is regardless of what kind of shape you're in, the healthiest 70-year-old is unlikely to live longer than the unhealthiest 20-year-old. So age is a big factor, but I had actually basically reversed my health age in those 10 years. And how I got into health coaching is I started actually teaching memory. I was still working at a bank, and I was still listening to a lot of podcasts and audiobooks. I listened to audiobook on memory, how to memorize lists. I can flip through a deck of cards and memorize all 52 cards and the position they're in, just kind of neat stuff like that. So I decided to teach it. And the people in the Philadelphia area probably know of Immaculata University. I taught at Immaculata University Lifelong Learning Institute and the Mainline School Night. However, the students there were all seniors, and they were less interested in kind of the fancy mnemonics that I was interested in teaching, and they're more interested in brain health, Alzheimer's disease, avoiding senior moments. So I really bulked up my brain health portion of the class and created the mnemonic DRESSed for brain health success. So that's having an optimal diet, optimal relaxation, which is really stress management. I just wanted the R in there for the mnemonic. Exercise and sleep. Those are the big four. And then also you have social and mental stimulation, staying active, continuing to learn new things, and detoxification if maybe you have a heavy metal or mold issue. But so I really started teaching that, getting into that, reading books on sleep, reading books on exercise. And then when COVID hit, I saw that the people really affected were generally the people that were in poor health. And I kind of came to the realization that, hey, everything you can do for good brain health is really good for your health, period. And so that kind of interested me in becoming a health coach, helping people and making a difference in that way. So that's my story.
I love it. And Justin was right. He's saying, let's go. Joe loves it. He knows I love all that type of thing. I have a similar story myself. I'm not going to rehash it, but I do some coaching as well. I lost a significant amount of weight, and prior to COVID, I was in the best shape of my life. But I think there's something to be said for, there was some regression there, and people fall off and get back on track, and that's something to be. That's inspirational as well when people are coming back and they don't give up. So I love that story, and thank you for sharing it with us. And I think to be said too, we don't, I mean, it's great to eat healthy, but at the same time, we certainly want people to, not, at least my philosophy is don't deprive yourself. If you want to enjoy the holidays or today, Super Bowl Sunday, I think that people should go ahead and do that and just get back on track tomorrow. And coaching is a great field. I think that this is just an entirely different type of coaching. Most people today are talking about coaches on the football field, but thanks, Dave. That's a great profession to be in, and I admire anybody who picks up that torch.
And I absolutely agree with you. I mean, one of the things I learned during my coaching certification is a little bit about coaching, and so it's very analytical. My first instinct is to teach and tell. But the idea behind coaching is to do that, but also you're trying to help the other person discover what their ideal diet is. And that includes their preferences and stuff like that. So, let's say they really like Coca-Cola. you make them aware of maybe the problems with drinking too much soda, and maybe try to limit it or find substitutes. But the bottom line is you try to work with them for them to discover their best way, to find out their best way of health. Nobody's going to eat 100%. Well, maybe some people will, but I certainly don't. And what you try to do is get somebody in tune with their body, so they can feel kind of the choices they're making. And
when you say that, I think that part of the secret to Tom Brady's success, for instance, is that somebody who eats 100%. I mean, that's really, they say that his diet and exercise routine and his regimen really contributed to the fact that he has been so successful in a game that's typically a young man's game. So I think that really speaks to exactly what you were speaking about in age and food and how that all correlates, and how you were able to increase your longevity. I mean, and of course we can all get hit by a bus tomorrow, but food and exercise definitely do matter and make a difference. And we, I've seen it in my own life, and I'm sure everybody else here has as well.
That's right. And it's health span as well as lifespan. So, when I work at a bank, you'd see a lot of people, and especially, the people who actually come into a bank skew a little bit older. And, I would have one customer who was, she was 103 years old, and she was going through her statement saying, I'm $3 off. And I said, oh my God, we charged you $3 for something we shouldn't have charged you for. And I changed it. And then you see people who are 65 and they're coming in on a walker and, need assistance. So, lifespan is, modern medicine is great at increasing lifespan, but there is a limit on what you can do on the health span unless you're healthy.
I agree.
And I'll piggyback off of because I was thinking the same thing, Joe, but I figured you would bring Tom Brady up first since he's the love of your life.
Next to you.
But LeBron James as well, but all athletes in general are and probably within the past 10 years have had a focus on their nutrition, because the better you eat, the more healthy you are, you might be able to extend your career and get that extra contract. So having this discussion on a Super Bowl Sunday makes sense.
I'm looking for my TB12 book, but I can't find it. I actually found it like in a discount bookstore, and I picked it up. So I was busy reading this book, but I'm done with this one, so now I'm going to go to TB12. So,
well, listen, Dave was very instrumental. If you remember, Joe, Dave is mentioned in the acknowledgement section of my book because Dave was the person that pointed me in the right direction to find my publisher. And he was kind enough to respond to a LinkedIn message that I sent him, and we communicated back and forth. And we didn't know each other from Adam. And this guy literally gave me the referral that landed my book deal with my publisher. So, he's high quality. He's a friend for life. Even though, and it went for a while there where I was under, they say writing is a lonely business, right? So while I was writing, I didn't keep the lines of communications open. But once I finished, I was able to reconnect with him. So he's a good guy, and we're glad to have him on the show as a guest.
Absolutely. I love that story about random connections. That's how we met as well, a random connection. So good news. I might be in the next book. I might be in the acknowledgement section of the next book. There's goals. Adrian. We might make it. So thanks, Dave. We really appreciate you coming on. It's been a pleasure, and we hope to have you back on again. Health and wellness are a big issue for me. But gentlemen, you want to have any closing thoughts for Dave?
Dave, thank you for your service, my brother.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I feel somewhat guilty when people say that, because the largest conflict when I was in was Grenada. And I wasn't in it, but it was. I was spent 3 years in Germany. It was really pretty enjoyable.
Doesn't matter when you served.
No, doesn't matter. Absolutely. All right,
Good
so
deal.
take care, enjoy the game, and we will see you soon.
Thanks,
Thank you very
Dave.
much.
Thanks,
Take care.
Dave.
Thanks.
All right, great. That was great. So Anne-Marie and Joe are in the wings. I don't know, they're just kind of slated for 4, but I think we ought to bring them on. They've been waiting patiently. And I'm very interested to hear what they have to say in regard to relationships and marriage. So I think
Well, hold on. Let's do this. Hey, Ferris. I
Yeah.
think let's while we're waiting, let's keep our mics on mute, because I think that helps with the echo.
You have an echo?
Yeah. So I hit the mic button and put it on mute while other folks are talking, just to that way.
I think it might just be you, because I'm good, but yeah. I think
I'm not
we can
hearing
do
one.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, that's
All right.
fine. So let's bring Anne-Marie and Joe on, and then we can talk about a little bit about them. I'll give their intro, but we can put a name to the face, and we want to thank them for waiting so patiently. Hi, Anne-Marie. Hi, Joe.
There they go.
Don't judge them.
Hey,
Hi.
Adrian. And Adrian, I'm coming to your house next, because whatever you're drinking looks really good.
It's pretty sweet.
Well, I don't want anyone to judge you, since you've been married 7 times. but the secret is it's been to each other, and each time for just 5 years. I can't wait to hear more about that. It's a different way to do marriage, and it's the subject of author Anne-Marie's latest book, The 5-Year Marriage, Shifting the Marriage Paradigm. She and Joe are here today to tell us why a 5-year marriage is the better I do. And it's very impressive. Your speaking engagements and interviews. You're on the Tamron Hall Show. You're on the Growth Marriage Podcast, Marie Claire Magazine, and so many others. Hi, and welcome to the show. And why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourselves and your connection to Bodine?
Well, thank you. And thanks for bringing us here today. We always get excited to be able to talk about the 5-year marriage. And I met Bo through the press club, and I've known Bo for a pretty long time. And Bo, do you want to say how that whole thing? Oh, he's muted. Well, we met at press club, and we were served on the board of the press club, and that's how I met him there. And then we used to talk afterwards. The 2 of us are gabbers, so we would talk a little bit afterwards. And then I found out that Bo wanted to write a book, and I had already written my first book, so I was like, okay, this is good. Here's how you do it. And so, Bo, it took you a long time, but I've read it, and it's worth the wait.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. So yes, Anne-Marie is one of my mentors from the press club who spent time with me. So again, there's a theme here. It takes a team. Don't be afraid to reach out to folks who have more knowledge or better knowledge or have an experience that you're looking to gain insight from. But listen, enough about me. It's about you and Joe. Hey, Joe, how you doing?
Well, how you been? Fine. See if I've named to the face or named to the face, whatever. So she speaks very highly of you.
Well, I appreciate it, and if you've noticed, this show is Joe friendly, right? So my dad's name is Joe, right? Joanne's dad is Joe. She's got a son, Joe. So we're all about Joes on this show, right? So it's all good. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you.
And Joe, I was thinking about what you just asked, and one of the reasons that I started the 5-year marriage, and kind of what happened was I grew up in a really strict background, and I was your classic good girl. I went, I did the things you were supposed to do. I went to school. I got a job. I was a school teacher. So I did like all of those really good things, and then I got engaged, which is what I was supposed to do.
Not me, though.
But not to him, to some other guy. And then something happened and I broke the engagement. And my father was really disturbed by it. In fact, he even wanted it. This is hard to believe. He wanted to sue for breach of promise, which I don't think anybody in the whole 20th century did. But the main thing was that if he was going to sue anybody, it was going to be me because I did the breaking up. So it's sort of like strange, but that made a big difference because it made me realize that my father loved me. That if my father couldn't figure out what was good for me, there was never going to be anybody else in the whole world who was going to know what was better for me than me. So that set me on a path to be more independent and find my own way. And as I was getting older, I thought, well, and everybody was getting married except me. Well, I started to notice that my girlfriends who were, and Joe, I'll bet you've had this experience. They were happy, happy, happy. They meet somebody, they get engaged, the wedding comes along, happy, happy, happy. And then all of a sudden, I started to notice they weren't so happy, happy, happy. In fact, they were getting a disillusion. They were getting resentful. And I thought, okay, well, I don't want that. So as I started to make my own way to be happy by myself without a partner, I thought, okay, what do I need to be doing? So I created my own life. I bought a house. I did a whole bunch of things. And in 1985, a lot of girls weren't buying houses. So it was kind of a big deal. And then I met Joseph. And we dated, I guess, for about a year and a half.
About a year and a half, yeah. Yep.
And he started talking about marriage. And I was like, okay, we're not doing that. But I never even answered him. I said, well, we should buy a house. Because I had a real estate broker's license and I knew how to get in and out of that. And so we did that. And we moved into our first house in 1987, the end of September of 87. The following year, Joseph's birthday was coming up. And I said, Joseph, what do you want for your birthday? He said, I want to get married. And I was like, oh, but we're living together. Isn't that enough? But for him, it wasn't. And the whole idea of not getting married wasn't that I didn't love Joseph or that he wasn't the right person. He was. But the whole idea was I just didn't want what I saw so many other people have in marriage that I didn't like. So I said, I have to think about this. So I did. I thought about it. I prayed. I meditated. I did a whole bunch of stuff. And then I went back to him a couple of weeks later and I said, you know what? I could marry you for 5 years. I know I could do 5 years. If we could get married for 5 years, then I could do this. For whatever reason, he agreed to it. And so we got married 6 weeks later. And of course, everybody thought I was pregnant. And I wasn't. But that's how we did it. We did it for 5 years. And in our second marriage, we did just like many couples do. We hit a wall. And my best teacher, I thought, oh, I know how to fix this. But I couldn't. So we ended up going for therapy. Both of us learned a whole lot in therapy. And so we decided we would get married again for our third marriage. But by then, in my best teacher, I created like a lesson plan. And I created a process so that we could figure out what we wanted to do for just 5 years. That first marriage, we were like pretty typical. We didn't even know what we were doing. But by marriage number 3, we had figured out that we need to set short-term goals. Not even so much, no, sometimes goals, but also I would say, just how would you say it? We need to reconnect because we're different. We were different for our third marriage than we were for our first marriage. A lot had happened in our lives. And I think a lot of times couples don't stop and they don't acknowledge that they've changed and this is how the change is affecting me. This is how the change is affecting you. And as we change, our relationship changes. So every 5 years we evaluate, we look back and we say, what went right, what went not so good? And how did we figure it out? Where do we want to go in the next 5 years going forward? And do we still want to go together?
And I like to add to it that within our marriage, no one gets left behind. A marriage is more than just two people; it's each person and the marriage themselves. And I've worked with clients who were highly educated, got the degree, and then once their children left, they're stuck. They didn't know what to do because they didn't pursue what they want to do while they were married. And the 5-year marriage, if you sit down with the couple and to say, this is what I want to do, how can I be included so we both grow together as a couple or as a family? And that's one of the basic things. But also this, you know, Von Hayes, remember Von Hayes, the baseball player? His best year was his last year. So I'm always on my good behavior my last year. It's a joke, you know. But no, it's a process that we work on. And she has a goal, I have goals, and so we try to work together as a couple. So we continue to grow together as a couple. That's one of the strongest points of the 5-year marriage. It's not a way out. It's a way to improve ourselves as a couple and as individuals.
And I was thinking about that earlier when Sarah was talking, because if they had spent so much time apart, that's not easy that is really challenging to keep that relationship together. Joe, the same thing with you. If you're apart 4 days a week, that really takes, and kudos to you, because that takes a lot of effort to keep that relationship alive and moving forward. But in the 5-year marriage, then there's agreements that are made, and then you work on those. You work those agreements together.
Thank you. And I think too, when we're speaking about marriage, and you know, back in the 80s, exactly, women in particular felt as if they were failures if they didn't get married. And I think that, you know, so much has evolved, and young people today don't feel that pressure that the good girls of the 80s felt. And I think that I love how you didn't cave, because there was a lot of peer pressure and parental pressure at that time, and the expectations of the day was to get married. The expectations were to get married, and you're right, and it was an anomaly for a young woman in the 80s to buy a home and be single, and people
or even get credit, Joe.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I applaud you as well. And I love that you're continuously evolving your relationship, learning about each other and growing together, because so many relationships don't do that. They just stagnate and just go through the motions, even if they stay together. I think that having goals and expectations and for yourself is very important. And I think so many people don't do that.
Well, and you know, I talk about the ABCs, the power of agreements, the bonus of boundaries, and the curse of compromise. So when I talk about the power of agreements, it's like both of you sitting down and making agreements. And when we do that, we don't just talk. We actually write them down. We have family meetings. We write down what our agreements are so that we know what they are. And then B is for the bonus of boundaries. And I'm very big about having boundaries. One of my particular boundaries is nobody's allowed to yell at me. And that doesn't mean that Joseph and I never argue, because we do, and very often loudly. But there's a space and time where that goes from arguing to yelling. And that's when I say to Joseph, stop, because you're yelling at me, you know, and that makes me feel diminished. So I think it's very important to figure out what your boundaries are and make sure that your partner knows what those boundaries are. And then C is for the curse of compromise. And very often I find this so many times, people are like resentful because they've compromised their personal power, especially women. They have compromised their personal power into oblivion. And I just am not one of those people that says, oh, marriage is about compromise, because I don't think it is. What I teach people who are doing this, it's instead of compromising yourself, say it's a negotiation. And an example that I like to use is if your partner wants to go to dinner at his mother's and his mother hates you, and you're like, I can't stand it, I don't want to go. Then instead of having an argument around it, make it a negotiation and say, listen, I'll go to dinner. I'll paste a smile on my face. I'll be really nice to your mother, even when she's treating me like crap. And I will do that. But in exchange for that, you do this? And then you come up with a negotiation. And so maybe, for example, I'm sitting at dinner and mom's giving me daggers. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, next week, I'm going to be sucking down hot, great drinks down the shore. And so you're in the back of your mind, you're able to keep that smile on your face because you know you've negotiated out something that you really want in exchange for something that your spouse or partner really wanted. So I'm just not a big fan of compromise, but it's the power of agreements, the bonus of boundaries, and the curse of compromise. I think that makes a huge difference in a relationship.
Agreed. Or even in a friend, any relationship, even in a friendship.
Yeah,
Exactly.
right. Yep.
Mhm.
Yep, I think that's true.
All right, Bodine and Adrian, you're pretty quiet. What are your thoughts on relationships?
Well, Bo had me on mute. We didn't negotiate that. I think it's interesting. I've been married for 31 years. So I hear the things that you're saying. And I guess I have a question. What would you say to, because obviously you get married, you're two different people, you were brought up differently. And that's probably in most cases in marriage. So when you have, for example, someone that comes from a family that does not talk as much, does not share as much, you know what I mean? They keep a lot of things to themselves. And then the other person comes from a family that's wide open. They talk about everything. You know what I mean? And there's large contrast. So that's just an example. What would you say in that type of situation where you have such a clear contrast between the two? And how would you bring that together? Help them bring that together?
Well, actually, that was us. I'm actually a very quiet person, and I had to sit back and watch her, how she related to people, how she asked questions, and so before that, it's all about me, and which made me a very quiet person. So I was able to sit back and watch a person who was and I think Bo, she's a people person. She loves people, and I could tell Bo is. So I was able to sit back and watch her, and it was a slow process.
And I'm thinking that when we first started the family meeting, when we were in therapy, we started having what I call the family meeting. So we would meet at the very beginning when things were really rough between us. We would meet every week, and then we decided we would keep doing it. And at the very beginning, Joseph, who didn't really want to talk or communicate a lot about what was going on, he was like, "Oh, I don't really want to do this. This is, is this going to be like a whole criticize me session?" And he wasn't happy about that. But it wasn't a criticize Joseph session. It was this is our partnership. We need to figure this out. And so I think at this stage, he's as likely to suggest that we need a family meeting as I am. And in the family meeting, and Adrian, this might be one of the things, if we're having a conversation, when we have a family meeting, we know what we're going to have a conversation about. So, it's putting things on an agenda. So there might be 3 things on the agenda, 5 things, but we both know in advance of the meeting what we're going to talk about. So nobody gets blindsided. And I think that's one of the things when somebody is quiet, as Joseph it tends to be. I think that it's like, I don't want to talk about that now because I haven't thought about it. Somebody who's more quiet needs time to think something out, and in order to have the conversation. So we have found with the family meeting that works better. Actually having a specific time to talk about something then the quieter person knows, okay, this is the time. And I know in advance that we're going to talk about, so I can be thinking about it in advance. And I think one of the things also is, as Joseph said, I'm the chatty one. So we could be, and you probably all have had this experience, we could be driving someplace and then I get an idea and I'm like, hey, you know what I think? I think we should talk about, whatever, ABC. And that makes Joseph feel very uncomfortable. He tends to close up. And now we have a vehicle where he says, I think that's a good idea. Can we shelve that to the family meeting? And then that'll give me time to think about it. So I think having the family meeting makes a difference because, I'm like, okay, yeah, and he's right, because it isn't something, if it's a relationship thing, it isn't something that we need to talk about right then while we're driving, and maybe we won't agree and then we'll have an argument over on the drive. So it's easier if I take out my phone, I put a note in my phone, and then the next time we're having a family meeting, it can go on the agenda. So I think somebody who's quieter needs time to process. Adrian, does that make sense?
No, that makes absolute sense. And I agree with that. I know for me, something may come up and a decision may need to be made about something. And for me, I'm generally not going to make that decision right there. I need to think about the decision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where my wife may be ready to make the decision, but for me, I can't commit to it that quickly. So yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I like that.
And the other things also, I had a very small comfort zone because of my upbringing. And since we had goals, and if I wanted to do this, I had three choices, sit in my behind, not do anything, or feel sorry for myself, or get off my butt and get out there to learn new skills. So my comfort zone and grew. I think without the 5-year marriage, that would not have happened, because we sat down saying, what do you want to do? If you want to do this, you need to learn these skills. You need to be more sociable. You need to express yourself better. You need to articulate, because I used to stutter and stammer. So I had these goals that in each time I learned one, my comfort zone grew. And the 5-year marriage, the basic concept of that allowed me to do that.
I think the family meeting made a huge difference, because we would sit and talk, and and I would be open to something, but Adrian, I'm probably much like your spouse. Before I even bring it up, I've already thought about it for 3 weeks, and I've already made my mind up. Okay, let's go. But that's just not fair. It's not fair to Joseph, who processes differently than I do. And so to bring it up, and then Joseph says, can we put that in the family meeting, really gives him space, and the space that he needs to make a decision. And that enables our partnership to grow.
And it probably takes the tension away.
Yeah, I would tell you that every time we have a discussion about something, we have different viewpoints, but we're respectful of each other. So we might still have an argument, but it'll be in the right time in the right place. Although I would tell you, one of the things I always recommend about the family meeting is take it out of the house. We will often go to a Panera.
Go to dinner or something. Okay, that makes sense.
No alcohol. We could do alcohol afterwards, but we'll go someplace like a Panera. We bring our notebooks. We go over the things that we've talked about from the last meeting, and then we have that conversation. But the reason I say take it out of the house is because if we do have an argument, we're less likely to scream. We're less likely to get up and walk away. People are watching, so it encourages us to be civil with each other.
It makes sense. Yeah.
It seems to work that way, because when we have done stuff in our second marriage, especially when we did things at home, then somebody would get up and say, I'm out of here, and then walk out the front door and get in the car and go someplace. And I think the day that we stopped doing that was one time I thought to myself, well, if he can do that, I can do it. So he got out, he jumped up and got in the car, went someplace, and I jumped up and got in the car. And then at one point, we met each other at an intersection. Okay, this isn't working really good here.
Well,
But,
let me ask a question, since we're doing a Super Bowl Sunday show, and Joe is a former athlete, retired. Like all of us athletes have to retire eventually one day, right? Because Father Time is undefeated. What advice would you quickly give to, because let's get this on tape because this program gets on YouTube. What advice would you give a couple where the significant other, let's just do the traditional story, guy is a sports fanatic and his significant other is not? What advice would you give to that couple regarding navigating and building their relationship when you have one that's a sports fan and the other is not necessarily a sports fan?
Probably to answer that question, Angie, I really apologize, but I was a diehard Eagles fan, and I had the green. If they lost, the world was at the end. The week was shot. Life is lousy and stuff like that.
Right.
And when I watched the game with her, it made it very unpleasant because I was very upset. I guess over the years, I realized, well, if they win or lose, Mondays are going to come along, and it's going to be the same day, whether they win or lose. And since then, I don't get upset anymore. And I had a lot of reason to be upset during the past couple of years with the Eagles. I've learned to take it as more entertainment. I think not having the emotional intensity now she can probably watch the game, and she hates football with a passion because her father was the same way with the Eagles. And so to take that energy, to calm it down and just enjoy it as a game. And I still get excited. I still say, what a dumb play that was, you idiot, but it's just like me talking right now. There's not the emotional tension there to do that. And I think so getting excited, be a part of the game, but don't ruin it by getting really emotionally upset and ruin the whole evening. That will be my advice.
And I remember back in our first marriage that it was going to be every Sunday. And at the very beginning, I belonged to a hiking club, so I would go hiking. And then I thought, but Sunday's in my mind, Sunday's a God and family day. And he's watching the game screaming like a crazy man. And I'm out with a bunch of other people. That's not how I want this to be. So we did come to an agreement at some point. It took a long time to come to the agreement because we both came from very different places. All that screaming and yelling from my background made me very nervous. It's like, okay, this is going to be a bad dinner. We're going to have a bad dinner because he's going to be all upset, because that's what I watched in my own family. So over time, we just came to the point, and I can watch a football game with him. And sometimes I even understand more than just the touchdown. So, but it's over time, because he respected my feelings and I was able to respect his. And I think that made a big difference.
Good deal. Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Great session. Awesome.
Well, that's really nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're watching your other guests, and you have interesting guests on for Super Bowl Sunday. That's really interesting.
Well, again, I wanted your perspective, because I knew I'd get a different perspective from the Queen in the Big Country, and then Dave and his perspective, and that's what it's all about, right? We all had there's the diversity in thought, right? And having different experiences provides folks to have to hear and see different perspectives, and this is our way of educating and providing resources for our listeners and viewers, which kind of separates us from other sports programs.
You're right, it does. Yeah. Yep. Well, but thank you so much for having us on today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. We appreciate it too.
Yeah.
It was
All
nice.
right.
Thanks for coming on. Absolutely.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy.
Thanks, you too.
Joe. Thanks, Mary.
All right, great. So that was interesting. So let's go to some of our viewers who have joined and we're listening in. So Christy, thanks. She's rooting for the Bengals. Go Bengals. Dave came on. He's asking how our Super Bowl is going, and we already had some controversy. He's saying, let's go Rams. And who else? We have Michael McCutcheon. Welcome to the show, Michael. Or good morning. It's afternoon here, so I assume you're in another part of the world. So welcome and join in. So let's talk about the game a little bit, though. We had some great guests, and we certainly appreciate that. But let's what are we thinking? We're already at 4:18.
Getting close to kickoff time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And speaking about diversity, I mean, I've been reading up about, and we actually have Jason's going to be coming on shortly, and he's going to be talking about some Super Bowl foods, and we can enjoy our drinks. But did you guys hear the story about Joe Burrow and his perspective on diversity and what happened when one of his players? I mean, I'm falling in love with Joe Burrow and Evan McPherson. Evan McPherson, he's a 21-year-old kid. He's coming in to press conferences wearing "God is good" shirts. I mean, most 21-year-old guys aren't that they're not that interested in that, but they're saying that back before they even appointed or recruited Joe Burrow, he was telling a story about racial injustice against a black teammate that he had experienced and in their high school basketball days, and he said that that the team was very impressed with him in regard to that. He was very uncomfortable and came out and denounced that. And I think it's nice to hear nice things about these young players when there are so many people in the NFL and such bad press that and most of the bad press is based on factual occurrences and things that have actually happened in regard to, I mean, we have arrests to substantiate it. It's not just rumors in many cases. And so what do you guys think? I think we have an impressive group of young men coming up in the NFL, and it's heartwarming and endearing. And, I love that type of thing.
Well, what's great about these type of stories is being reasonable, rational, and fair-minded. Because if you really think about it, there's an average of 65 professional players on a team. So 65 times 32, right? Gives you an idea of how many professional players are in the league. And if you think about the negative stories or the negative, not stories that are related to coaches or administration or thing, just the players, it's a very small percentage of players that causes drama. The majority of the players in the league are incredible citizens that do incredible things in their community, wherever, and not just in their community, the community they live in and play in, but the community they're from, right? So there's more positive stories out there. We just don't have enough time to tell them all, right? So I laugh at people. For example, I posted our flyer for this show on LinkedIn. And it was the first time in a year of me, since my book debuted, that someone had somewhat of a negative comment in a reply on a post of mine. Now, those of you who've known me a long time know I'm a defensive player. I was a strong safety. They didn't call me the Hammer for nothing. I'm not afraid of a fight. So having said that, I was very diplomatic when I responded to that post. And what would the post say? The post said to me, I haven't watched football since they started taking a knee and disrespecting the flag. That person had the audacity to put that reply on my post. And I'm like, listen, God bless you. but you're gonna miss the halftime show. That was my reply to him. Right? So
Yeah.
my point is, why would you bite your nose off to spite your face? The Super Bowl is an incredible event. People, how many millions? 100 million people are going to watch it, but you rather say
lot.
you're not going to watch it because somebody took a knee 8 years ago? Come on, that's just ridiculous.
Well,
Well,
it's like,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
go ahead, Joe.
I was
It's
gonna
like
say-
what we talked. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, when they're characterizing the individuals that they're characterizing as they, I would have to imagine that it's also a racial comment. So it's very unlikely that they want to watch the group that's in the Super Bowl show, because that's part of the they in their, and probably in their perspective. So I don't think
Well,
they're
that-
worried about the halftime show.
Well, listen, that's why you and I think alike. Number one, we're cancers. So that's why my reply is what it, and I'm telling you, that was my reply to him. God bless you, or God bless your heart. You're going to miss the halftime show because it's going to be fun. So if he doesn't understand what that reply means, then he doesn't understand the
I'm sure he
entire
doesn't.
process. He doesn't understand the
It's
entire
ignorance.
process, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. it's
I mean,
ignorance.
this is I wouldn't be surprised one day, and we might not be alive when this happened, but the Super Bowl should really be an off day. It should be a holiday, right? It really should be, because this is a big event that millions of people watch across the world. And
You should.
it's a unique sport to the world, because not everybody can do it. It's not in every country. And so anyway, let me get off my soapbox.
Well, Adrian wanted to say something. What were you going to say, eh?
No, it's simple. It's like what we talked about last week. Some people need to be heard, and sometimes those people don't understand. We don't care. Okay, so you're not going to watch it. Who cares? You know?
Yeah. Well, I hate the they, and that's not across any group. You know, you can't stereotype or characterize any group as they, but especially when it's racially motivated. Certainly. All right. So you brought it up, Odin. Let's talk about halftime. That's going to be fun, right? That
It
should
is.
be. I'm looking forward to that. The commercials, the halftime, because so many people do care about those things. And you know, there's a large group, that's all they do care about. The game is secondary to them. They only watch it because they don't want to miss a commercial. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, I'm absolutely looking forward to it. No doubt about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am too. It's going to be good.
It's going to be good. I mean, and it's going to be, I mean, and we talked about it a little bit this week. Snoop Dogg's and Dave is saying the halftime show is going to be lit. Snoop Dogg got into a little bit of controversy. Snoop Dogg got into a little bit of controversy this week. It'll be interesting to see how they handle it. I have to believe he's going on. I haven't heard to the contrary, and
Yeah.
and I don't think he's too worried about it. I mean, he tweeted earlier this week that it's gold digger season, or it's a good day for gold diggers, or something like that, after the controversy came in. And of course, we have no idea if this is an unfounded allegation, and if it's not, we certainly don't want to. We're not denigrating any victim, because that's, we believe that all people should be heard and all victims should be receive justice. So I don't want to imply that at all. But
We don't have enough information. That is correct.
True. All right, so we have Jason's here. Jay Barber's here, and he's coming on to talk about, and he has a special guest who wants to give his Super Bowl predictions. So let's welcome Jay to the show. You coming on, Jay, or you want me to pull you in?
I can do it. Yeah.
No, great.
Hey guys,
There he
how's it
is.
going?
We're doing well.
J
What do you
Mac, what's up, bro?
Oh, you know, getting ready to watch the big game, making some food. Thought I'd share what I think is the best Super Bowl food to make. First,
Uh-oh.
you have to start with the classic chicken wings. So I mean, you can do those in any way
Yeah.
you want. I'm a honey barbecue guy because I like spice, but my stomach does not like spice. So I have to stick to like a honey barbecue. But I've also tried like an Asian chili. That one's okay. It's not too hot. An Asian chili is also pretty good. Then I make some. I usually make meatballs, so I get them frozen. I marinara sauce. Have some dipping sauce with them. That's good as well. Man, there's so many other foods you could have, but I'm a brat guy, and I always will be. Bratwurst, Johnsonville bratwurst, a little bit of sauerkraut right on top with some mustard.
I know where Adrian's going. He's heading to the kitchen to show us his creation.
Keep on going, Dave.
I'll talk about some chicken wings. I am a huge fan of chicken wings myself. I only like them super, super crispy, and I like them sweet and spicy, much like my personality. So I put a little bit of honey in there and some barbecue sauce as well, but then I jazz it up, and I make a phenomenal homemade blue cheese dressing. I will say that, and that's a great compliment. So let's start, Jay. I hear some pans and some pots rolling around there.
Two pots of my world famous. So what I do is I do chili on Sunday, and then what I do is we have a chili and queso. So I get regular queso, I get a little bit of jalapeno queso, and then add chili to the queso. So then we get, the people that just want regular chili, they can have with French bread and butter. And then my wife and my in-laws, they like the cheese. They like to have the cheese with the Tostito scoops and throw them over the corn chips and eat those. So that's what we do for Super Bowl Sunday.
Well, so show us a picture, Adrian.
Well, I have to get the cheese ready when we're done here, but you should be able to see one of the pots of chili getting after it right now. And when we get done, I'll come down and I'll add I'll get out the pot and start heating up the cheese and get all that going. So that's what we do here.
All right, love it. So speaking of cheese, I'm going to up our game a little bit. Another favorite of mine is I like baked brie. And just for the Super Bowl, I'm going to cut it in a cookie-shaped cutter into the shape of a football. You wrap it in a crescent roll. It's like a big mozzarella stick. I like to serve it with raspberry sauce. My kids like it with marinara, but that's another great option. Some people I think brie is a big deal, but it's really almost tastes like mozzarella cheese. So I love that. Looks like we have Jordan's joining us. Jason's son, Jordan. Hi, Jordan. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
What's your favorite Super Bowl food?
My favorite Super Bowl food is pizza.
Pizza. That's a great one. What do you like on it?
What do you like on it?
Pepperoni and pineapple.
Ooh. That's an interesting. I've never had pepperoni and pineapple combined.
Well,
Salty and sweet, right?
I think they call that California pizza, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not Jersey pizza.
It's not New York style either.
That's that
Hawaiian
salty and sweet thing, right?
Prediction is that the Bengals are going to win.
No, you think the Bengals are going to win? All right, we're
Yeah.
going to mark it down. We're going to mark it down, and then we'll follow up with you on Wednesday and see if you were right. I think some other people on the panel think the Bengals are going to win too, so you could be in good company. Well, I'm not supposed to divulge it yet, but I say I know you're in good company.
Bye.
All right, bye. Thanks, Jordan.
He's done. So you had talked about you were going to tell us some cocktails to have for Super Bowl.
I'm ready for the cocktails. I have one right now. This is the Touchdown Teeny, and it is so good. I got to get out my list of, I can tell you what's in it. I got Chambord in there, some vodka, some raspberry vodka, a little bit of cranberry, some ginger ale, and actually a lot of vodka. And it's one of my favorite drinks. The other one I'm calling it the Sideline Sip. And that one I haven't tried yet, but I am going to try it after the game. And I don't know where my recipe is for that. Well, but it has Midori. It's a green drink for the turf. It's got Midori, vodka, a little bit of lemon lime soda. Like I prefer Sprite, but any will do. You mix it all up a little, and it's a toasty green concoction. So I love all those things. And then Jay sent me this week a Super Bowl drinking game. You going to delve into that at all, Jay? I printed it out. We can talk about that a little bit, but that looks fun every time. Did you have it with you?
Well, let me pull it up quick. But yeah, we can definitely get into that. I will tell you some of this stuff you probably don't want to do because you might die if you actually try doing it during the game. Because one of them you guys will definitely see is going to be a lot, and I know that I know Bodine is going to agree with that. So the first one on there is every time Chris Collinsworth says, "Now here's a guy," you take a sip.
So that guarantees alcohol poisoning right there.
Yeah.
Right? You want to go on the next one?
Sure. Every time Joe Burrow does something cool, take a sip. That again is going to be. I think he's cool. He could be replacing Tom Brady in my heart. So I could get pretty drunk on that one.
Every time Jalen Ramsey starts talking smack for no reason at all, take a drink.
He may have a lot of opportunity tonight.
If Joe Burrow gets sacked, take a sip. I think that's a safe bet. There may I don't think he's going to get sacked too often, so I think that's a safe one.
You might be wrong on that one, Joe.
I have high hopes. No, I think Jay froze up, so I'll take the next one. Evan McPherson misses a field goal. I don't think anybody's going to be drinking on that one. He has almost a flawless record to date.
Yeah,
well, he's very good, but this is the biggest stage.
And he is a kid too. He's a kid. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Jay may have to come back in again. Yeah, let's see. They show a celebrity in the crowd on the telecast. You have to take a shot. That's gonna.
Oh my God! There'll be a lot of drunk people there, boy.
That's alcohol.
4 of them, 5 of them.
Hold on, that's alcohol poisoning because it's in LA. How many celebrities do you think are going to be in the stadium? At least 50.
I mean, it's possible they show more celebrities than there are plays run in the game.
That's true.
That's a recipe for alcohol poisoning because they're going to show every celebrity they can in that stadium.
Well, just think about the halftime show. That's enough to get us drunk in itself.
That's for sure. What's the next one? College highlight of Burrow and Chase at LSU is shown.
With the cigar in his mouth.
Yeah, that would be in the first quarter, probably.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Here's one that's.
Go ahead.
I was going to say this one's all me. You remember Tom Brady will never play in a Super Bowl ever again. You have to take a shot. I already started with that one.
Right. Announcers mention Matt Stafford's miserable time in Detroit. Take a sip.
Does the pregame show count? Just kidding.
Yeah, right. What's the next one is Odell Beckham again proves that Baker Mayfield is the real problem in Cleveland. Take a sip.
Good one. Adrian's sipping on that one already.
Yeah. Go ahead on the next one. What is
I've been skipping around, but Cooper Kupp scores even though everyone in the building know he's getting the ball.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Let's see. Hologram of Tupac shows up during halftime show. Take a shot.
Ooh. Okay.
Probably.
Okay.
That's a good one. He will. No, that's going to happen. Absolutely. No doubt. I'm with. I didn't even think of that. J-Mac, that's a good one. A hologram will show up. Absolutely.
As someone at your Super Bowl party laughs at a commercial that wasn't even remotely funny. That'll happen too. That's because we've done so many shots up to date. We're going to think everything's funny by the time we get through this list.
You're Jared Goff, and you realize sitting alone on your couch that you'll never get back to the Super Bowl again because you play for Detroit. Take a drink.
Yeah, he'll be drinking by himself.
Yeah.
J-Mac, that's just mean. Don't be mean. That's just mean.
Because he'll be drinking by himself because nobody's thinking about Jared Goff.
Listen, if I was Jared Goff, I'd be on an island somewhere playing golf because he knows he's going to get mentioned at least 4 times during the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And the last one has to be the best one. And then this one I think is especially for Chris. A team runs the ball with 13 seconds left, having no timeout.
Hey,
Yeah.
settle down over there. Settle down.
Jay, look at
Settle
the
down. Settle down.
Jay, it ain't just for Chris, Jay. Look at Ferris. He's got a look at his jersey.
So that's funny.
I may as well. I'll just drink now.
So yes, that's your drinking game brought to you by Coast to Coast.
Awesome.
That-
Good deal.
That's fun. That was fun.
That or have Chris Collinsworth say how he used to play for the Bengals, went to the Super Bowl, but
That'll happen. That'll definitely happen as well.
Well, listen. Chris Collinsworth is from my area, right? He played for Titusville High School, and my high school played his high school in football, so he's a Floridian. So go a little easy on Chris Collinsworth. I know he can be a little overwhelming to deal with, but he's doing the best he can.
All right. Well, while we have Jay on, let's start. It's 4:40. Let's talk about our predictions. We'll start with Jason. Jay, who do you think is going to win?
Well, I called it before the playoffs started. I said the Bengals were going to take the Super Bowl. You asked Chris. They all thought that was a little funny at that time. But I said that before the playoffs, so I'm going to stick with that. I think the Bengals are going to win it 37-34.
Okay. What about you, Chris?
that's kind of where I'm thinking 37-34 Bengals.
All right. Well, I'm following my heart. When I followed my heart, it was the playoff predictions 6-0. Then when I started to overanalyze, especially since I'm not a football commentator or an analyst, well, I guess I kind of am now. But I like Joe Burrow. I like Evan McPherson. I think if you don't follow your heart, much like in life, you're always going to have regrets. So I'm going with the Bengals as well. What about you, Ed?
Wow. So now I can't keep it that short. So there are a couple things I look at here and some things that I know. The first thing I know is that the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line, each one of their offensive linemen are ranked 50th or worse in the league, except for their center, who is ranked 26th in the league. And he's ranked 26 because there just aren't 50-some centers to get to that 50 mark. So I think the key here is that the Los Angeles Rams defensive line the Rams are not going to have to blitz in order to get to Joe Burrow. And I think that's the key. Burrow is great against a blitz. The Rams are great against a blitz offensively. And the question is, who's going to be able to run the football and put pressure on the quarterback without having to bring extra defenders? I think the Rams are going to be able to do that. I think obviously it's easy to go with the Bengals based on what they've done, but I still think the Rams are the better team. They still have more weapons offensively with the addition of OBJ, and they have a better running game. So I am going to stick with who I think is the better team and the home team, and I'm going with the Rams. And I would not be surprised. I hope it's not. I don't think it will be. But I wouldn't be if there's going to be a blowout here, it's going to be the Rams blowing the Bengals out. But I think it's going to be a close game.
That's interesting. I forgot about the home team advantage. Yeah, that is huge. I forgot about that, but I'm still going to stick with the Bengals.
Well, in this case, Joe, there's really no home team advantage because most of the folks in the stadium are corporate sponsors, right? Because it's a glorified, right? It's all about the relationships that are built throughout the NFL. So yes, there will be folks in the stadium who are rooting for Cincinnati. There will be folks in the stadium rooting for the Rams, but there's no serious home field advantage, right? But what I would say is I'm going to give to answer this question in two ways. I'm going to eventually give you my pick that you're asking for, but I also want to give you what I think could happen based on being a former player. If Cincinnati runs the football, brings in an extra blocker to run the football, take time off the clock, Cincinnati will give themselves an opportunity to win the football game. They can't block with the traditional 5 offensive linemen because based on the stats that Ferris just spit out, they're not a great offensive line. So, but also when you have a great rushing defensive line, how do you counter that? You run the football at them, right? That's how you counter that. So it's all about adjustments, right? Everybody has to make adjustments. The first quarter is going to be boring. Okay? It always is because you're feeling each other out. You're getting the opportunity to knock, butt heads, shoulder pad against shoulder pad, right? Because everybody's full of energy and you don't want guys to make a mistake. So you run basic plays. The first 15 scripted plays are going to be basic, right? So if Cincinnati wants to win, they run the ball. If they don't, it's going to be a blowout, without a doubt. So they got to take time off the clock, run the ball. When you run the ball, the clock continues to tick. When you throw the ball and say the receiver, tight end doesn't catch it, the clock stops. You don't want to give the LA Rams more opportunities, more possessions to possess the ball. Take those possessions away. Run the football. Who cares if the game is boring? All you want to do is win. Make it a boring, ugly game. Make the halftime show the best halftime show people will ever remember, and the game was terrible, as long as you win, right? Now, that's what Cincinnati should do in order to win. But as you can see, I never wear yellow. Are you kidding me? I'm a blue and white guy. All the colors in my life, from Reebok to Cheney to Villanova, is blue and white. There's no yellow and blue and white. So who am I rooting for? The Rams. I got yellow and blue on. It's over. If Cincinnati doesn't run the ball, it's over. Period. It's just that simple.
All right. So we got, actually, with Jordan's bet, we have 4 against 2. We'll see how that plays out. Dave said the Rams. Christy Wilson said the Bengals. We're gonna have to see. Robert's asking, who do we think our MVP picks are? I'll go first. I think I'm gonna say I'm just going with my gut, and I'm saying that the Bengals are gonna win, and it's gonna be Evan McPherson. It's gonna be the MVP. I know that kickers aren't typically, but I'm just going all out there. What do you guys think?
I think it's going to be the second wide receiver to get an MVP. Desmond Howard was the last one. He was more of a special teamer, but he was a wide receiver as well. He got in Green Bay in Super Bowl 31. I think it's going to be Jamar Chase for Cincinnati.
All right, look, and Justin's agreeing with you. Jamar Chase, MVP. We'll see what happens.
That's not a bad pick.
No. And Justin is going with the Bengals too.
Crispy Bacon, who do you think is going to get MVP?
I'm thinking Burrow. It's normally a quarterback,
Tim Fielder saying the MVP is going to be the halftime show. I think that you might be right there. You might be right. What about you, Ed?
Well, I mean, if we know anything about football, quarterbacks always win the Heisman Trophy, and quarterbacks always win the MVP. So Matthew Stafford will be the MVP tonight with the Rams win. No one else has a chance. Quarterback or bust.
Yeah, so it's usually from the winning team. So if my pick is the Rams, right, it's either going to be the quarterback or it's going to be a defensive player, which would be who? Von Miller or the defensive tackle, because they're stars too. So it depends on how the game is going, right? If what's his name? The defensive
Aaron
lineman?
Donald.
Aaron Donald. If he gets 5 sacks, no, he's MVP, right? So it depends on how it goes. So as a defensive player, I'm not picking a quarterback. No, I don't like quarterbacks. Even on my team, I don't like quarterbacks. So I'm picking. It's going to be either Aaron Donald or the guy that came in. I'm forgetting his name. Came in from Denver. What's his name?
Von Miller.
Von Miller. It's going to be one of them.
Don't forget you have Ndamukong Suh on that line as well.
No. Donovan, no. Sue is playing in Tampa. Remember? They traded him.
All right. So,
with Tampa.
Oh, that's right. Okay, my bad. That's right.
Well, I'm getting pretty heated over here, Bodine. You don't like quarterbacks. You always say I'm the quarterback of this show. So I'm starting to take that personally. Adrian, you are my new favorite, and it's a crispy bacon. It's going to be the Adrian and Joe show. You're out.
Hey, don't put me in the middle of this.
Hey, J Mac.
I know better.
Hey, J Mac. What's funny is if you read my book, I did not get a chance to put all of this in my book, but I used to purposely get kicked out of practice because I would hit the quarterback because, quarterback wears the red jersey.
Right.
I used to purposely get kicked out of practice when I had other things to do, like study hall, or I had to meet with a tutor, or I was just pissed off and didn't feel like practicing. I would literally touch the quarterback to get kicked out because I knew my head coach was going to throw me out of practice. So I knew exactly what to do. Absolutely. So I know how to play that game.
So Robert is saying Bo is right. Aaron Donald will get Salacious and win the MVP. So that'll be interesting for sure. So even if the game's not interesting, all of our commentary is interesting. We have a little bit of side. Competition here, and it'll be it'll be interesting to see who comes out the winner, because we have some. Adrian and Bo are pretty much along. Well, no, the MVP you're differing on, and then this side of the house we got Chris, Jay, and myself. We're feeling a little bit differently. Sackalicious, not salacious. I reread that wrong.
There you go.
No, you didn't read it long. He forgot the K the first time.
Well,
but
he abbreviated because SAC is how you abbreviate the SAC in football terms. So I got him. I knew what Rob was doing.
I was thinking salacious is a little bit an odd terminology, and it's a big word for the Bo and Joe show. We don't typically go there, but
well, Joe, I read it the same way as you did, so don't feel bad.
And salacious is typically in my verbiage, in my vocabulary, much more than sackalicious. I will say that. So it's an easy for me to screw that one up.
Hey, Jay,
and Justin is saying Joe knows her words. You're right, Justin, there for sure.
Hey, Jay, before you froze up, you were showing us your chili. What else are you're cooking in your crib? What else are you cooking in the house?
I just put the chicken in the oven. So
okay,
with the chicken wings going, I usually put the sauce on them. I cook them a little bit, then put the sauce on and finish it, because I don't think you can put it on at the beginning. It just doesn't taste the same.
Right.
Do you do blue cheese? Or are you a ranch guy?
I'm not a blue cheese or ranch guy.
Ranch.
Yeah.
I hate ranch. So
Well, Jay, I'm with you. At my age, I can't do wings like I was 25 without a kid and a conscience anymore. I'd have heartburn all night long, right? So I have to. I mean, I like the honey barbecue, or just sweet and sour, kind of the way they do it at Chinese or Japanese restaurants. Or I just do my wings dry. So
Bodine, I have done them dry before. I've done it and then done some Parmesan cheese and some garlic.
I love that garlic parm. That's a great one.
absolutely, no
Yeah.
question.
So-
There are just so many ways, right?
Yes. Yes,
So
absolutely.
what are you drinking with them, Jay? What's your beverage of choice?
I'm honestly just a beer guy. I'm probably just gonna have a couple beers.
Good man.
What about
This
you,
is just for
Chris?
show.
Mine's just for vodka. Chris, what about you? What do you like to eat and drink at the Super Bowl?
Sometimes wings, pizza. I think I'm having pizza today, and
Alright.
watching the game, having some sodas, and just relaxing.
Justin's asking us what's our favorite chip. I really am a potato chip girl. I like the way the Lay's wavy chips. Those are probably my favorite. I try to avoid them, but because you can't just have one, like the commercial says, can't just have one chip. That's for sure. So I'll eat a whole bag. So I try to stay away from them. But today I'll probably have some.
Well, my chip, I don't know if obviously different parts of the country, but my chip is Kettle brand jalapeno.
I like
And
those
so-
too. I have some in the pantry. I like those too.
Yep.
Well, listen, we're getting close to the end of the show. Everybody knows I was born and raised in Florida. My boiled peanuts are ready for me. Okay. And if I had if I had the opportunity to get some fried pickles around here that I like, I would have them, but I don't have them. So I'm just dealing with my boiled peanuts. I've already finished off a bottle of champagne. So it's time for me to just wind it down so I can enjoy the game. So I'll just have a really light beverage. And so it's all good.
Well, here's I'm going to give you a little tip. The keto fried pickles. If you put some cheddar cheese in a muffin tin and then put a pickle slice on top of it and top it off with more cheddar and then put it in the oven, it tastes like a fried pickle. You might like it. Something you can do on your own.
Good to know.
All right, so let's wrap it up. What do you have? Closing thoughts. We'll go to our guest, Jay. What are your closing thoughts on the game, or on the show, or just in general?
No, I just thanks for having me on. I hope everyone enjoys the Super Bowl. I gotta say that it's really the first one I've had a complete weekend off for the Super Bowl in a few years, and so it's nice. And as much as I would want my team to make the Super Bowl, I almost like it better when they don't, because I can sit back and just enjoy the game and watch football. So anyone whose team is not in it, just sit back, enjoy the game, watch football, and enjoy your food of choice and your beverage.
Well
Chris,
said.
I love that. Chris, what are you thinking?
Yeah, it's going to be a good Super Bowl. I think if our teams were in it, it'd be a little stressful because you want your team to win. But if your team's not in it, you just kind of sit back and watch the game. I just hope it's a good game, and I think it will, and everybody enjoy.
Adrian?
Well, I want to thank all of our guests. Great guests today. Great conversation. And I agree. If the Cowboys were playing, once the game starts, it's tension. So it's actually pretty good to have two different teams. And I'll say this: it's great to have two teams who have not been in it for a while as well, and two teams who have never won it. So what's going to happen tonight is somebody's going to be a first-time Super Bowl champion. So that'll be pretty cool for them and the fans of those teams.
I love that. And, since this is really, and not to say I've never watched football in my life, but since this is my really first season that I'm watching it in an in-depth fashion. Typically in my earlier days, I just watched whomever my boyfriend at the time was watching. So now I'm really forming some, I had some teams. I like the 49ers, but I'm forming some opinions of my own, and I love that. So I love that they're first timers, and I'm a first timer in some respects as well. What about you, Bo?
Well, listen, let's Crispy Bacon. I absolutely love the LA Super Bowl 56 banner behind you, man. That is absolutely awesome. I appreciate that. Listen, I would just everybody enjoy the game, enjoy the commercials, enjoy the experience, because that's what I'm going to do. I don't have a dog in this fight, so I'm just planning on enjoying it, watching. From a defensive perspective, I get to see things differently than most people will, right? In terms of, as a former defensive player. But I think it's going to be a great game. It's just going to be a low scoring game. Someone mentioned 30s. Nah, I'm thinking 23-19 final score in that area. I don't think it's going to be a big scoring game. So, but it's going to be fun, and I'm glad everybody. We had a great day. We had a great show. Thanks everybody for coming in. And Joe, you'll call those names out. But our first annual. Looking forward to next year.
I'm looking forward to the next couple of hours, and I love how we're starting the Super Bowl off with an action shot from Jason. We're seeing him live in the kitchen. I love that. But I want to thank everybody who tuned in, all of our viewers, and of course Justin, our biggest fan and our sideline guy. We have Brandon was on tonight, the Sanders crew, Mr. Sanders, Alicia, everybody who's watching. We had Jerome coming in. Tim, San, of course. Who else did we have? We had some first timers, and I'm reading through all of Justin's comments. I don't want to miss anybody, of course. Dave was here as well. Christy, thank you. Michael McCutcheon, thanks I think you're tuning in from around the world, so we certainly appreciate that. I almost thanked you, Adrian, with your Bahama Mama comment. Thanks for sharing that with us. And
real quick,
Robert,
Joe,
Robert?
George just chimed in, and he corrected me. Yeah, he just chimed in and he corrected me. The Rams did win with Kurt Warner, so that's my bad. So the Bengals could be a first-time winner.
And Bryce had basketball. I saw that. I hope you won, George. So you missed. You came in at the end, George. Jerome saying great show, and I have to concur. Thanks, everybody. You really, and I will say this to everybody on the screen, certainly, it's not just about football, it's about friendship, and you've all uplifted my life in so many ways over the course of these. Really, it's only been about 8 months, so thank you all for that. And of course, Jay's our guest as well. Thanks for tuning in, Jay. And even though you're on screen today, I always have to end by thanking, my main man behind the scenes, Crispy Bacon. And it is Valentine's Day, and Crispy Bacon knows he's my main squeeze and my Valentine. So thank you, Chris, and thanks everybody. So you can play us out.